The story is set in the 1930s. In the 1930s, telephones were primarily landline telephones, as mobile phones had not yet been developed. The telephones used during this time period were predominantly rotary dial phones. For dialing a digit, the wheel is rotated against spring tension, with one finger positioned in the corresponding hole, pulling the wheel with the finger to a stop position given by a mechanical barrier, the finger stop. Here are a few types of telephones that were commonly used in the 1930s. Candlestick telephone, wall telephone, desk telephone.
A valuable formula.
I had just stepped behind that screen, near the door to wash my hands, when a man, gun in hand, entered the room and stood motionless for a few seconds.
Said Hyde.
Apparently satisfied no one was here, he walked to the desk, over there by the window. As he rummaged through the papers in the drawer, I hastily dialed headquarters, leaving the receiver off the hook, trusting you would trace the call. I was afraid to talk, because I was unarmed, and he looked like a desperate fellow.
You say he took nothing but a valuable formula from your desk?
Inquired the professor.
That's all, he touched nothing else.
Rather careless to leave such an important paper lying about like that, wasn't it?
Well, I suppose so, though it was only a copy. I sold the original to Schmitz yesterday, for $20,000, and I intended to destroy the duplicate tonight.
Would that formula be valuable to anyone else?
Yes, it would be worth twice as much to Schmitz's competitors.
Why didn't you sell it to them in the first place then?
Schmitz financed me, while I was perfecting the formula, so I thought it only right to sell it to him, even though I could have got more for it, from the other firm.
As this is such a small bright room, and you observed so much through that crack in the screen,
said Fordney sarcastically,
you should be able to give us a very good description of the intruder.
Oh, I can do that.
Hyde replied, with assurance.
He was a big fellow about 6 feet tall, and weighed around 200 pounds. He had jet black hair, swarthy complexion, an unusually large nose, and a vicious-looking mouth. As he left obviously unaware of my presence, I noticed he had a big rip in the back of his blue coat.
Well, Hyde, as part of your story is incredible, you can't expect me to believe any of it.
Why did the professor say this?
The professor expressed disbelief in Hyde's story, because there were inconsistencies and questionable elements in the account. Firstly, Hyde's claim that he dialed headquarters and left the receiver off the hook, expecting the call to be traced, seemed unusual and unorthodox for that time period. It was not a common practice, and it raised doubts about the credibility of his actions. Additionally, Hyde's explanation for leaving the valuable formula on his desk seemed careless and implausible. The professor questioned why he would leave such an important document lying around, especially when it had significant value to Schmitz's competitors. It appeared to be a questionable decision on Hyde's part, and raised doubts about his motives. Furthermore, Hyde's detailed description of the intruder, including specific physical features, like the large nose and vicious-looking mouth, sounded overly precise. Given the brief encounter and the potential stress of the situation, it seemed unlikely that Hyde could recall such specific details with such confidence. Taking all these factors into account, the professor found Hyde's story to be inconsistent, implausible, and lacking credibility, leading him to question and doubt the truthfulness of the account.
In a small room, the intruder would unquestionably have heard Hyde dialing headquarters, and therefore could not have been unaware of his presence. As Hyde had obviously lied about this, Fordney was convinced he had fabricated the entire story, in order to sell the formula twice. Don't tell me of deception. A lie is a lie, whether it be a lie to the eye, or a lie to the ear. Dr. Johnson.